Hi, this is Michael Benjamin Jacobson, or formerly known as Matthew Robert Payne. This is a t-shirt, and one of my 200 t-shirts, Imagine a World Without Greed. That'd be a good shirt to wear into your latest mega church. You wouldn't have to prophesy anything, just wear that into the thing. Now, I'm pretty sure the title of this is going to be Having Victory Over Delusions, Demonic Altars, and Familiar Spirits and more. But it's going to be like a testimony. Some of the things I've had to cope with in my life. So we're going to cover, I've got 18 points here. So the first point we're going to cover is I wasn't planned, I was an unplanned baby. Second point, I've got a Jezebel father. Third point, Jezebel brother. Fourth point, Satanic Ritual Abuse. The fifth point, sexual abuse. Number six point, homosexual lifestyle. Number 7, addiction to pornography. Number 8, addiction to prostitution. Number 9, married to Jezebel. Number 10, a breakdown and mental illness. Number 11, 3 women approaching me to date me, all witchcraft, all witches. Number 12, current delusions I'm going through. Number 13, dealing with demonic altars and how they're playing up in my life. Number 14, satanic attack through assassins that have been sent at me. Number 15, having a hard dream life, being attacked in my dreams. Number 16, dealing with familiar spirits. Number 17, coping with attack on my finances. Number 18, seeing victory in Christ. So I'm not sure how long it'll be. You know more than me. You've clicked onto this video and you see how long it is. So I'm in good spirits. I've got enough milk to have a few coffees. I've got some time, and as I said, I'm in good spirits. So I'm going to try not to say too much about each of the points, so it's not too long. But just want to share with you some of the stuff I've been through. Just hopefully this will encourage a lot of people who've been through a lot of similar stuff. And if you've suffered, or you know someone who's suffered like me, or suffered from one of these things, I encourage you just to send them a message on Messenger with the link of this video in. You don't have to post it on the page. You could share this on your page if you thought this was good for your Facebook friends, but this might be something you want to pass on privately to a friend rather than putting it on their page. First of all, Joyce Meyer, a famous Christian teacher that I admire, she says, bigger levels, bigger devils. And I used to be fascinated by that because I certainly wanted to go to a bigger level. And she seemed to know, because she teaches in stadiums all over the place, and she'd know about these bigger devils that come at bigger levels. All this year, every month this year, right through to now, the 11th month, I've had a promotion in my anointing and my gifting and my power. And now I've reached a stage where I'm in all-out attack that is hard to cope with. And so I can testify, the more powerful your anointing, the more power you get, the more attack you get. I can certainly testify to that point. So my first point is I was not planned. My father planned on having 2 children and raising 2 children, and my mum getting pregnant with me was a mistake. The day my mother came home and said she was pregnant, I think she was on the pill when she had me, and the pill hadn't worked out. My dad chucked a fit. I saw a vision of that fit, that my father, he got so angry at my mother, he got so angry saying, this child's going to wreck my plans, it's going to wreck my life. And And my mother denied that he had a fit, and I told her that I'd seen this vision, and she said it was a false vision, that didn't happen. And now she's in heaven. She's agreeing that fit did happen. And I found out in healing years later, when I was trying to get some healing, that you can be rejected in the womb. Like a baby can get rejected by its father or its mother in its womb, and come out of the womb with a demonic spirit of rejection. And that's how my life started. I came out of the womb to an angry father, to a demonic father, to a father full of the Jezebel spirit. And he didn't make my life too good. He didn't make my life too good at all. As I grew up, when I was a young boy, my Jezebel brother was very jealous of me, and it's so violent to me that my mother found out that she couldn't leave me alone in the same room with him unattended. That every time she left me unattended with this brother that was 18 months older than me, he'd be hurting me. He'd be pinching me, hitting me, doing something to hurt me. And I remember as I grew up as a teen, my brother kept on asking him to have a play fight with him. I never liked to do it, because if I ever hit him and hurt him, or had any sort of success in the play fight, he'd smash me. And it was basically, my brother, every time he said he wanted to have a play fight, was basically saying, give me permission to smash you. And so that's what he did. I remember early on, this isn't a point here, when I was 8, my best friend was my cat, and I used to go in and say all my woes to my cat and cry with my cat. And my cat died eventually, and that broke my heart. And more about this is in my book, He's Redeeming Love, a memoir. And you can read about a lot of this, but some of this isn't in there because I found out since. I came to know a friend about 3 years ago who came into my life, and the Lord led her into my life. She discerned within a year of being my friend that I've been satanically ritually abused. And that's a term that's coming up quite often these days. And I didn't understand how that'd be. I asked my mother, and my mother said I'd never been left with anyone alone, except for her auntie, my auntie, her sister, who wouldn't have done it. My sister and her husband were Masons. Her sister's husband was Mason. So I had a bit of Masonic order coming through. I went to my recent counsellors that I had for about 18 months, and they've just stopped counselling me now. And they said that it's possible between the ages of 4 and 8 or whatever. They didn't mention the ages, but when I was a young boy, witches and warlocks used to astral travel into my house and rape me and torture me and scare me. And they satanically, ritually abused me, and put in some programming into me to give me a lifestyle that totally went askew. And they actually wanted me to convert to witchcraft and become a warlock. And when I call out Cat Kerr followers, and when I call out Cat Kerr for false teaching, the Cat Kerr followers call me a warlock, and it's pretty amazing. I'm not a warlock, but they accuse me of it. It's amazing that they're even on to this, that I was supposed to be conditioned and groomed so I'd become a great warlock. I don't ever become a great warlock, but that's what they call me, and I think it's quite funny. I think they're tapped into the same demons as the people who did the Satanic Ritual Abuse. So I had that, and so that was in my youth, and I didn't know that until a couple of years ago, and I was slowly dealing with the alternate personalities. Number 5, when I was 14, I was on a beach. I used to surf at this other beach other than what my brother went to, and it had less surfers in it. It was less competition. It was great to surf at. So I used to go there alone and surf, and one day I found there was a nudist beach that came close to that beach, and I was fascinated with that. So I started hanging around in a nudist beach for a few weeks until a pedophile found me and sexually abused me. And that started something crazy because I didn't have a good brother, I didn't have a good father, had no good men in my life, so I was attracted to, like a homosexual lifestyle for a number of years there. Of course, when I had my first orgasm on the beach from this child predator, I realised that I could do that, and I went and found pornography and started a porn addiction that was very hard to break. And so I addicted to porn for most of my life. And when I turned 18, I went to Sydney from Coffs Harbour, the country town. And I found out about street walking prostitutes. And back then in 1985, they were $20 for a short time. And I slowly worked up my levels to prostitutes. And if you know, recently in the last couple of years, I've been seeing prostitutes that are $650 a time. And so I've moved out of that. But for a long time, all my money went on prostitution. I managed to run my ministry and not use any of my ministry money for that, which is amazing. I spent $110,000 on books that I published for the Lord, and all my ministry money was separate and always was. But had this addiction to prostitutes. But that started. Then I met a girl at a conference for multi-level marketing, and I won't mention the company. And she made it clear that she wanted to date me and wanted to be with me. So she and I, she got pregnant out of wedlock, which is what happens when you're a Christian and you have sex outside of marriage. She forced me to marry her and threatened me that if I didn't marry her, I'd never see her and the baby again. And interestingly, she turned up in a dream last night, and she was saying that she's just had a baby and it's my baby and I should look after it. And it was very interesting that she's in my dream last night when I've met who will be my future wife, and I'm sort of dating her, and my ex-Jezebel wife turns up. The baby had a really little body and this huge head, and it was really gross looking baby. So I married this Jezebel. We broke up after 2.5 years, and I was fighting for joint custody so I could see my son 1 week out of 2 weeks. And she put me in a psych ward. She did witchcraft on me, broke my head in pieces, and I came out with bipolar and schizophrenia, which is called schizoaffective disorder. But it's, most people know schizophrenia and bipolar sort of suffer from both of them. It's very tragic sort of suffering. Number 11, 3 different women through the ages, through the years have tried to date me. One I did date, but 2 other women. Besides that, I've all been witches. I've had 4 women put the word on me, like flirt with me, and 4 out of 4 were witches. And they wanted to bring me into witchcraft. And so now recently, come September, I was led to go to a conference. And since I went to the conference, something came on me. And I've gone through 3 major delusions. Each of the delusions lasted for weeks. And the first delusion, I thought 2 women had come into my life, former prostitutes. One that I knew 25 years ago that I got engaged to. One who I knew about 3 years ago. And both of them, I thought, were talking to me in the spirit and visiting me in the spirit, familiar spirits. And I got involved. One of them led me to buy this watch. One of them led me to buy a couple of aftershaves. The one that was traveling with me most, I could see through my eyes and could prophesy through me very accurately. A lot of people were encouraged. She had a lot of great changes, In that first delusion, I've seen some things about my future wife. I've seen some revelation about who I am. I had some revelation about who my future wife will be, which I thought was going to be this person that I'm having the delusion with. But it came out that 2 people advising me, a prophet, 2 prophets basically, said that my delusions, they're not real, but they're like parabolic. They're sort of like dreams that need to be interpreted. It's a shame that you're in them, but there's a lot of good fruit in them if you choose to pay attention to them and get the fruit out of it. They're very fruitful for you. And so as I went into the second and third delusion, I kept that in mind, and each time I've learned something. Each time I've come out better. The latest one, I thought I was the two witnesses and a manifestation of Revelations 11. It's true, I am, but it's just not now. It looks like it'll be in a couple of years' time that I'll walk in that power. But I got the revelation during what someone call a delusion. I got the revelation of it then, and was able to unpack and describe a lot of teachings in the Bible of how they're going to come true. So the delusions have been disheartening. They've been sad. They've hurt me. But God's got a way of making good out of that. Number 13, dealing with demonic altars. So from time to time, I'll write something on Facebook. From time to time, I'll do a video, and it'll be an alternate personality that's in me. I've got hundreds of them. It'll be an alternate personality speaking with a demonic spirit and Satan's agenda speaking through me. And I'll have no recollection. I'll have no understanding that it's not me speaking. Because it sounds like me. It feels like me. It's part of me. It's one of my personalities, part of my personality. So I think it's me. But on reflection, or when someone sees the video, they might make a comment. And so demonic altars can really affect your life and wreck you up. And number 14, when I started the John Lennon book, which is on my playlist on my homepage, I did about 36 hours of interviewing John Lennon. There was launched assassins from the Illuminati who came against me and tried to kill me. I've had 3 good confirmations of other people that really happened. And there were 15,000 of them that were sent, so it was very important. I've since found out in Revelation that Revelation 10, the little book, is this John Lennon book. And it seems that I've got some additions that I need to make to make it fully the little book and Seven Thunders speaking. So these assassins came at me, and number 15, I've been having a hard dream life, having my wife turn up, my ex-Jezebel wife turn up in my dream last night. Was very upset. I was trying to tell her, you know, I can't be with you. I'm with another girl. You know, there's another girl that's in my life, and she was harassing me and saying I've got to be with her and stuff. So Satan's been harassing me in my dreams, harassing me by putting me in delusion, harassing me by manifesting these altars and wrecking my friendships, wrecking my life. Number 16, dealing with familiar spirits. So when in the midst of the delusion, you know, the first delusion with 2 ex-girlfriends, they were familiar spirits. They knew all about me. They knew all about the women that they're pretending to be. They knew all about my history with those 2 women. They had the personality of the 2 women. And also in later delusions, the second and third delusion, I was consulting with my mother from heaven, consulting with saints from heaven, consulting with God and Jesus. And they were all familiar spirits. They're all pretending to be God, pretending to be my mother, pretending to be saints from heaven. And that sort of really upsets you. It sort of encourages you to break away and not even talk to heaven, not even have a relationship with Jesus and the Father. And so, you know, that's Satan's agenda to break me off. And yet, what they said and the things, my delusions have bore good fruit. And I've learned a lot of good things whilst I've been in delusion. And one of my good friends says, get a lot of fruit from those delusions, man. And so that's true. So I've had familiar spirit in the past. That was a girlfriend for about 14 months. I never met her, never talked to her on the phone, never had a friend on Facebook, talking to her on Facebook Messenger, never via email, just spirit to spirit. Now listen, if you have someone speaking to you spirit to spirit, who's living, to ask them for their phone number, their email address, or their Facebook. If they tell you they can't, we can talk like this, cut it off with them. Any normal person will talk to you through a proper means. And if they're not, there's something very suspicious. Now, you mightn't take that advice off me. You might run a few more years with this fantasy, and that's a sad thing. I've been deluded so many times that when I said I had a new girlfriend in my life, people are asking, is it a real person? Is she on Facebook? Have you talked to her on the phone? Have you met her in the flesh? And people are so concerned for these fake girlfriends that I have. And when I reported that I've met her and I've got a Facebook and I've talked to her on the phone and I text her on the phone, they're really happy and they wanted to find out more. That's a sign if you've been deluded a lot when people are saying, is it a real person? So number 17, I've had this major attack on my finances. My income has gone from an extra $2,000 a month down to about $300 a month, and it's a major attack, and I've learned to cope. Now, here's the thing. Number 18, seeing victory in Christ. So, how could this all bring victory? Well, in years to come, when I'm speaking on stages, I could talk about satanic ritual abuse and altars and alternate personalities and suffering. I can talk on addictions. I can talk on porn addictions. I can talk on prostitute addictions. I can talk on coffee addictions. I can talk about how my father, mother, sister, brother, all Jezebel spirits. I can talk about dealing with the Jezebel spirit in my own life. I can talk about deliverance. I can talk about being addicted. I can talk about satanic attack. I can talk about warfare in your mind and warfare in your dreams and warfare in delusions and warfare through altars manifesting in your life and wrecking your life. I can talk all about these things. My favorite verse that I've quoted to myself 20,000 times is Romans 8:28. All things work out for good for those who all things work together for good for those who love God and walk according to his purpose. If you quote that verse at most things, it'll make you happy. There's a good reason behind everything that happens. When it seems that Satan is pouring out his whole arsenal at you, when it seems that there's no hope, when it seems everything is unfair, it's just not fair, it's just not nice, it's just not good, you can quote that verse at it and believe in it. If you believe that verse, everything that happens to you will work out for some good and it'll glorify God in the end. You can cope. Now, if you can't cope with that verse, you can look at the Isaiah verse where it says, his ways are above our ways, beyond our understanding. God's ways are far above our ways and we can't understand. You need to quote that verse as yourself to say God knows what he's doing. So I want to share with you, in my weakness, in my bipolar, in my schizoaffective, in my schizophrenia, in all my weaknesses, I am strong. If you're following mine on YouTube, you see video after video after video coming up. If you've read my books, you'll see that I've written 55 books, a comprehensive look at how to live the proper Christian life through books. I've had many achievements. When you look at my life, when you look at what I've done, you just look at my t-shirt site. Just go and look at the 200 t-shirts and consider for yourself, could you write 200 quotes like that in 2 hours that it took me to write them? You know, God really is an awesome God, and he waxes powerfully through me. He uses me in a powerful way. But don't look at my life as though poor old Matthew, poor old Michael, he suffers so much. Have a look at what I'm achieving. Have a look at the video content. I have over 2,000 videos, 850 articles, 55 books. There's a lot of fruit. There's a lot of content. And though I get deluded every second week, it seems I'm learning and I'm going from strength to strength. I'm going from glory to glory. God is powerfully using me. And I want to share with you, if you've got delusions, if you've got demonic altars, if you've been satanically ritually abused, if you've got addictions, I want to tell you that there is freedom, there is hope, there is hope, and God can do all things through you, through Christ who strengthens you. You can do all things through Christ who strengthens you. And so please be encouraged that although I've been having a hard life, although I've been suffering, although I've been going through delusions and you've been worried for me, just remember that your prayers are working, that I am blessed, that I am going from strength to strength. I am becoming more and more powerful. I am going to be a threat to the enemy in years to come. So I hope that this has really given you some information and informed you of some things. Feel free to reach out to me. God bless.